When you're in a state of distress and somebody tells you to take a deep breath, you might feel a little more agitated about that. Like, I'm having a hard time breathing and you're telling me to take a breath. And yet, this can be very good sound advice, because breathing is one of the easiest ways to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which will help us come out of states of activation and distress. So let's talk about it. One of the things that we've been really exploring in this series is the importance of titration and pendulation, the importance of understanding our levels of distress and understanding where our degrees of freedom sit, that place in which we can handle some distress, but it's not too overwhelming to the system. We don't become too highly activated, or we don't drop into a freeze or dissociative state. Now, one of the things that's really beautiful about focused breathing exercises is that it actually often will include both bottom up and top down behavior. So if you haven't watched my video, Are You a Top or a Bottom? I encourage you to go back in the series and check that out. So one of the things that's really wonderful is that diaphragmatic breathing, when we get really into our belly, not this kind of chest breathing, but when we're actually dropping all the way in, we can usually access the diaphragm better when we breathe through our mouth. That is the bottom up strategy. Bottom up means we're using the body as the entry point for de-escalation regulation. But oftentimes when we're using focused breathing exercises, we're often invited to do things like count, focus on a word, focus on the breathing, really thinking about like a mantra statement or doing an inventory of the sensations in the body. And so that second part is using the mind, or a top-down strategy for kind of distraction, shifting focus and energy. And so this kind of 1-2 punch, this mind-body combination, is one of the reasons why breathing can be so, so good for supporting us in nervous system regulation. Okay, so what's also true is that when we are trying to calm ourselves, we need to be able to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And so I'm just going to read a little bit here from our trauma treatment toolbox, because I think they just explain it really nicely. Okay, so we're going to try to deactivate subcortical brain regions involved in anxiety and stress, such as the amygdala. And so the vagus nerve is one way that the brain literally physically connected to the body. So this nerve is the 10th and largest cranial nerve. So it runs from the medulla oblongata, that's the subcortical region of the brain, all the way down the spine. And then it branches off and starts to wrap around several parts of our internal organs, okay, in the abdomen. And so when activated, the vagus nerve initiates the relaxation response, the parasympathetic nervous system arousal in the body, and sends the message to the brain that it is time to calm down. And this process can take less than a minute. Okay, so there are lots of different ways to activate the vagus nerve, but a very straightforward and easy way to do that is through diaphragmatic breathing. So when you take a deep breath, that goes through the diaphragmatic wall expands. Okay. And then when you release that breath, it leads to a slight compression of those internal organs. And then that compression, right, this is where the vagus nerve is wrapped around. And so then that compression of those organs leads to vagus nerve activation. And it's like pressing a button, a chill out button. Did you know you have a chill out button in your belly? It's not just the belly button. You literally have a chill out button in your belly. So when you release that breath, the contraction, the compression creates that activation of the vagus nerve, presses that little button and starts to sends the signals back up the spine and into the brain to relax. Okay. So it has to be this diaphragmatic breathing. It can't be the shallow breathing that's up here. You have to drop down into your belly. Okay. So I'm going to be teaching you in the next part of our series various breathing techniques. Okay. So how to activate that vagus nerve through the breath and other benefits of it. Okay. So today, let's just practice a little. We'll get more into more like varied breathing strategies, but let's just keep it simple, right? To start off with. Okay. So one good way to make sure you're breathing in your diaphragm is to actually put your hands on your belly. Okay. And again, breathing through the nose can be tricky. I can get there, but I often feel more tension when trying to breathe through the nose. So I encourage you to drop the jaw. By the way, dropping the jaw also signals to the body and the brain to relax, to calm. You're safe. Drop the jaw and take a nice breath in through the mouth. And exhale. In through the mouth. And exhale. 3 more breaths. In through the mouth. And exhale. 1. Breathe in. Breathe out. 2. Breathe in. Breathe out. 3. Now let's add in the combo of the mind plus the body. So now we're going to count internally as you breathe in. So you're going to breathe in 1, 2, and breathe out. 1, 2. Breathe in. 1, 2. Breathe out. 1, 2. Go with your own natural breath. You might want to inhale for longer and exhale for longer. You might want to do a pace of only 1 count and 1 count. I usually recommend kind of trying to get up to where you're doing about 4 counts in, 4 counts out, but no holding of the breath, just being in the flow of the breath. 4 in and 4 out, 4 in and 4 out. And just start to notice, even if you're already in a resting place, you can reach new levels of relaxation and ease. Like I'm even just like, woo, okay, I'm feeling even a little more easy having just done that breathing. And certainly in a place of distress, one of the best things that we can always do first, and remember, we always have to regulate first before we can analyze or understand or look at the details of an experience and try to process what just happened. So we need to regulate first, and breath is one of the best ways to get us there. Awesome. So practice this diaphragmatic breathing and stay tuned for future videos where we're going to explore other specific breathing strategies that will support you in your healing. All right. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, if there's anything I can do to be a support, I'm here. Reach out.